President Biden designating Kenya a major non-NATO ally. Put this in perspective for us, the significance of this moment.
Well, I think it is significant, Joe, and they have done a lot of outreach to Africa over the past year. Some cabinet secretaries, Vice President Harris has visited, now, of course, the state dinner. I think there's a couple of takeaways here. One is that the administration really does see Africa as key to their foreign policy initiatives. There's a lot of economic growth potential and population growth potential in Africa forecast for the years and decades ahead. It's also a key counter to China. A lot of our policy has been around, in terms of foreign policy, and our geoeconomics have centered around the relationship between U.S. and China. And Africa is at a crossroads between both of those. So I think we're seeing the Biden administration recognize that economic growth potential in Africa, but also the ability to strengthen the ties that we have to nations there in order to shore up our supply chains and our economic growth as well.
Well, it's really interesting the way you frame that, because there were many audiences for that news conference today and for what we saw as their Oval Office meeting, which extended well beyond the allotted time. To your point, China was watching. Of course, African nations were watching, and so were our allies elsewhere around the world. There were other deliverables, $250 billion in new lending, new tech cooperation that would actually see money from the CHIPS Act going to an African nation for the first time. Was there enough to show for this visit when it came to the takeaways here versus the photo opportunity?
Well, it's so interesting that you brought up the CHIPS Act, because they did make an announcement about how we're going to try to put money into Africa around semiconductor chips, technology there to shore up supply chains. But so much of the conversation around chips has been around nearshoring them, bringing it back home to making them in the U.S. And this is really saying, hey, we can shore up our supply chains in places like Africa, again, to lessen our dependence on places like Taiwan, but also to counter China on this incredibly important technological area. So, and you mentioned debt, Joe. I think that's another big thing for developing nations, and certainly for Africa, where the U.S. is saying, hey, we need to provide more lending and make sure that poorer countries are not going so far in debt that they can't get themselves out of it.
Is the private sector the answer to that? The president gathered a bunch of executives from Fortune 500 companies and some familiar names yesterday. We had Alphabet there. We had private capital represented in the room. Industrial companies. There was even an infrastructure deal with a Virginia company that was announced earlier today. Is that the answer to debt from Belt and Road, or is it U.S. government aid as well?
Well, I think a lot of people would say you need both, right? That the private and public partnership is really going to be the wave of the future for a lot of these big problems that need solutions. But I do think the private sector, oftentimes to lend to more risky countries or areas, they definitely need some type of government floor, for lack of a better word, to feel like the government may back them up and help them to take more risk. But other people will say the private sector should just step in more no matter what, because of the potential for growth.
Yeah, they'll be lining up for the big state dinner. I guess the tent on the South Lawn. Do you see the menu? Looks pretty great.
You know what? We could go over, Joe, and just see if we can get a last-minute ticket.
If you can get me in, I'm with you after this. I'm done at 6 o'clock. No ice cream on the menu. Fascinating for the Biden White House. Peggy Collins, thank you so much for your great reporting and leadership in the Washington Bureau. As we turn to Capitol Hill, the Senate failing to pass a bipartisan border bill for the second time this afternoon. Senator Chuck Schumer blasted Republicans afterwards.
We're here again. Just like 3 months ago, Senate Republicans rejected the strongest and most comprehensive bipartisan border security bill Congress has seen in a whole generation. It's a sad day for the Senate, a sad day for America.
Let's bring in Bloomberg's Gregory Korte now. I know you're shocked this didn't pass. So what are we saying here? This is just a messaging bill all along?
Yeah, looking at Senator Schumer there, he clearly knew this was a doomed exercise. But there
was a purpose, though.
There is a purpose. And look, this is the same bill that they brought up some months ago. What we saw in our Bloomberg News poll that we do with Morning Consult of swing state voters after they did this the last time is that they did make some inroads in at least shifting some of the blame away from President Biden and Democrats in Congress on this immigration issue of these droves of people coming over the U.S.-Mexico border, and not diminishing the Democratic blame, but adding to the Republican blame and making it a bipartisan problem. Once they've used that trick once, it's hard to get it to work again, although I would not rule out Senator Schumer or perhaps someone else trying once again to highlight that it's really former President Trump and Republicans who are being the obstructionists here, despite the fact that this is the issue, or perhaps because this is the issue they want to run on in November.
Well, it's just it's the reason why people hate Washington in some cases. When you see someone like Jim Lankford, a serious lawmaker and a very conservative Republican from Oklahoma, who put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this compromise, tried to sell it to his colleagues and the American people, failed months ago when that happened. To come back now and vote against it and to talk about this, I think he described it as picking up weapons. It's not even real legislation anymore. How do you have the same person craft it? It's his baby and then divorce himself from it like that?
We talked
about Donald Trump.
We talked about this the first time. This is a bill that 6 months ago or a year ago, Republicans would have taken in a second. The only thing that's changed is the election year dynamics here. And this is an issue that Republicans clearly want to win on, giving President Biden a win on immigration. And let's not let President Biden off the hook too easy either. He has had a change of heart on this issue as well.
Sure.
And there's just a little bit of
punished for it.
Well, he's trying to use a little bit of election year jiu-jitsu to switch the impetus back on Republicans. It has worked to an extent. It probably won't get him completely off the hook.
I'd love to bring Peggy back in because we can't let Peggy Collins go away that easily. You're the bureau chief in Washington. You see big picture, 30,000-foot view here in Washington. This is messaging legislation for the rest of this Congress? Is that what we're in for as opposed to real lawmaking?
Well, I think there's such a close tie between the two legislative bodies in the sense that everything they say and everything they do, they're trying to message, but they also can't get a lot done, right? And the closer we get to the election, there's going to be less and less that they can get done because of all the partisan politics in it. Yeah. So I think that's where a lot of the messaging comes in. They feel like they've got to message because they can't actually get a lot of legislative work done.
Understood. And even though there is some work to be done, the Farm Bill is one example. I don't know if we can spin back the comment from Joni Ernst the other day, but it was pretty interesting to think that something that was never a controversial moment could get to the point now where, again, it probably can't pass. The Republican from Iowa, in talking about her own agriculture state, but also the stakes here, had this to say about the Farm Bill on Bloomberg.
We are really struggling with the Farm Bill this year, and it is a $1.5 trillion price tag in the United States Senate, but only about 14 to 15% of that goes to farm programs. We need to rename the bill. We're not going to pass it this year. We'll take another shot early next year. We'll have to extend the 2018 Farm Bill.
So that kind of reinforces the point, right? It goes back to what you just said. We're in an election cycle. Check back after November.
So it's surprising, though, the extent that the Farm Bill has always been one of the more bipartisan pieces of legislation to come through Congress.
We're talking about food stamps here.
The agricultural committees have always had a pretty good relationship from one side of the aisle to the other. But we are in an election year, and also inflation is really one of the drivers of the tensions here, because you have Republicans saying, look, if farmers are struggling because of the cost of the inputs, the commodities, the fuel, the seeds, the fertilizer, they need to grow these crops. We need to increase the subsidies. They're going to take the money from SNAP, from food stamps. Obviously, Democrats don't like the sound of that, and so it's really created this tension where the money's got to come from somewhere, and that's what's sort of grinding down these negotiations.
No doubt.